So, good afternoon, the last speaker. Hopefully you are still with us. I will not explain what the Natural Capital Coalition is that I represent. You can go visit our website. It's an impressive global institution. I will mention one person, which is Richard Spencer. I used to also work in marketing at a bank. Always associate yourselves with winners, and apparently he was a winner this morning. He's very much involved in what we're doing. I don't know where you are, but there you are. Ladies and gentlemen, we have discovered that our companies that we use to deliver us with the goods and services that we want and need have an Achilles heel. Yet, now that was a problem for Achilles, but if we do our job well as Natural Capital Coalition and many other in the rooms, that could not be should not or may not be a problem for business if they learn how to cover that heel. Business is currently moving forward on natural capital valuation. I understand. I wasn't here. I was waiting for my plane to take off for a while. We had a perspective already from business this morning. But business is moving forward on natural capital valuation and accounting. But, and I will touch upon this also, business cannot do this alone. Business needs government, accounting, and civil society to join in. The collaborative system would have been my answer. Now, my daughter is born in the year 2000. She is a turn-of-the-century girl. If you were born around the 1950s, and I'm fully aware I'm in a room of scientists, so if I'm wrong, don't attack me, you're a turn of the geological era person, which is a little bit more cool than turn of the century, because the former geological era took 12,000 years to complete. It was the Holocene, and some scientists agree, I have to be careful in this room, that we are now moving into a new era, which we would call the Anthropocene. And where the Holocene was stable, the Anthropocene seems to be quite unstable with climate change, biodiversity loss, and ecosystem degradation. In the 1950s, that moment when you were born, baby boomers, our economy exploded through mass marketing, consumption, and innovation. This explosion has now exposed a major fault in how we historically think about ourselves as human beings and how we think about our businesses and our economy. And that faulty self-view is impacting our planet in such a way that it will be visible in the geological layers of this planet for the rest of time. Where the Holocene, as I said, was stable, the Anthropocene now looks like it will not be so stable. And what is that fault? Up to very recently, humanity did not realize to what extent we are connected to and dependent on Earth's natural systems. We know now that our connection isn't limited to our need to eat, drink, or breathe. The planet is not merely the store that provides us. We are actually told by biologists that our own bodies are linked to the natural environment in many more dependent relationships, many more than we could possibly imagine. We all know the story by now of the 2 kilos of bacteria you carry with you that are benign. And do you know what mitochondria really are? Basically, we are learning that we are open ecosystems ourselves. Yet, for millennia, we developed our society and economy without that insight. From the principle that we are separate, unique beings, we've constructed our economy. So in managing our economy, we focused all on the human side of it. Through measurement, accounting, and valuation of only those things we felt belonged to us, we have come to the faulty belief that we have a firm grip on the economy and on the companies within it. But we have an Achilles heel. You know the myth. Achilles, the hero of the Trojan War, was dipped in the river Styx. There's multiple varieties. He could also have been rubbed with ambrosia and held in a fire. But let's use the one dipped in the river Styx, held by his mother, the sea goddess Thetis, by his heel, his ankle, that she didn't uncover, and hence he had a weak spot. And it took a blind man to hurt him there, and then Paris, his enemy, to finish him off, when that should not have happened. Same with our companies. The river Styx, magic, is now measurement, accounting, and valuation. And we're holding on with 2 hands to the ankles of our companies, dipping them into that system, and we're forgetting to let go of those ankles. And we need ankles for stability. It helps us stand up, it helps us be able to move forward. And those ankles are the natural resources, the ecosystems, and our natural environment that we are not accounting for. Welcome to the Anthropocene. Now, how do we know this is a problem? It's been said many times, I think, today. But again, up to the 50s, that problem was not apparent. The few people on the planet hardly had an impact substantial enough to destabilize the natural systems at a global scale we are part of and dependent on. And if we did, we moved to a different location. There's examples of degraded ecosystems around the world, and people no longer live there. Where the Han, the great Chinese people, started, it's the Lus Plateau. It's a big desert now. They've moved to the bigger China area. And actually with World Bank support, it's being restored. Who could have thought that during the Industrial Revolution that lighting fires underneath kettles to harness energy would lead to climate change? And in food, who could have thought that when the first woman, probably the first woman who planted the first seeds more than 15,000 years ago, that it would lead to degraded and poisoned soil, eutrophication, and the risk of losing pollinators. Now, IUCN red lists have been telling us we are confronted with an extinction crisis for decades. The footprint method told us that we are exceeding our planetary limits. But it wasn't until the early 21st century, in 2005, when the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment managed to drive that point home and persuade the world's leaders that this loss of biodiversity, pollution, climate change, and unsustainable land use is degrading the ability of ecosystems to provide us with life-essential services. And of all organizations, the G8 acted on this and commissioned the landmark study, The Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity. You're probably aware of it. And the question was, what does this cost? Human terms. That price blew our minds. The TEEP study showed how faulty our economic compass is. And yes, we are experiencing a major financial crisis through ecosystem degradation every single year. We just don't account for it. Business got the point then too. And methods to understand the value of ecosystem services and dwindling natural resources sprouted up from the ground everywhere. There are now so many systems to value, account for, measure ecosystem services in business that business is getting confused. We need now a global approach that works for business and delivers the values, measurements, and accounts that will work also for keeping our natural environment intact and, better yet, restore them. And we need it quickly. We need to figure out, those businesses that we're holding by its ankles, how to move our hands without letting go, because then they'll drown, and fix this big omission in how we manage them. And the business case is simple. Business wants to make smarter decisions. Not accounting and valuing nature in those decisions is, as we know now, no longer smart. The Natural Capital Coalition, that I currently manage, has taken it upon itself to prove to business the value of understanding natural capital in the business processes, but we're also taking some action. We have also taken it upon ourselves to pull together the different methods that now exist and approaches that exist into one global natural capital protocol. The business case for one global multi-stakeholder natural capital protocol is also simple. It provides business with the security it is valuing natural capital properly, and ultimately will provide business with the opportunity to present to society how it is doing in a comparable way. So we've come a long way since 2005, in 9 years' time. We've now even reached a point where we can integrate ecological considerations on the level of a company or company projects. Let me now focus on the work we are doing on the protocol. Reflecting nature's complexity, we have convened a very complex system of actors, from government, academia, accounting, business, finance, and civil society, to develop the Natural Capital Protocol. Next to that, we will develop further guidance for two sectors, apparel and food and beverage. Those sectors are very closely linked to the ecosystems that they source from, and it's going to be very important material for them to find out what that relationship looks like. We're also going to test this with companies to see if it works, if it's fit for purpose. And even though we have a large group of stakeholders already working on the protocol, we intend to involve an even larger group through a global public consultation process. More on that later. And the list of companies that have signed up or expressed their interest to us to participate and find out if what we're developing is working has already reached 200. And these are the world's major multinationals, from Coca-Cola to Kering, which is the brand over Puma, etc. We started in October with the development of the protocol last month. We are now in the middle of finalizing what we would think is the scope and the wireframe of it, and its sector guides, and we are setting up that business engagement program. So we're right at the start of an exciting process. And there is a great deal of enthusiasm actually and willingness to contribute. We're able to use proprietary methodologies, which is in business an important step. If business is willing to sell this, give away the stuff that they own so that we can develop a better product, that's very, 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 very important. We're also using methodologies that are out in the open, and we're building on the experience of some of the major actors in this field of business measurement, accounting and valuation, and natural systems. I'm also proud to say that we've been able to collect some of the world's most important institutions actually to lead the delivery of the Natural Capital Protocol. On the one hand, we have the World Business Council on Sustainable Development, who've collected an impressive consortium of organizations who are actually going to write the protocol itself. IUCN, it's been mentioned before, is leading the consortium that will develop the sector guides, and this is an NGO, right, who's going to work with business to see if it works and it's fit for purpose. Now, I didn't bring a PowerPoint, but if I would have shown you the slide, you would have seen how impressive that list of organizations is. And again, you can come to our website and see who they are, as we will put it on there. Now, realizing you're an audience that is advanced in this field, I would like to share a bit more on what we're thinking of in relation to the scope of the protocol and the elements you will find in it. And you're actually one of the first audiences to hear this. Also, I will share what the protocol will not be. And finally, how you can actually interact with the development of that protocol. Now, let's start with what it will not be. First, the protocol will not be a disclosure standard. We believe we need to start inside the business itself. Ultimately, transparency, disclosure, reporting is going to be very important, and it will be up to the reporting standard bodies, such as the Global Reporting Initiative or the IRRC, to take that on. We're also likely to take up transparency principles in the protocol itself, but primarily we are focused on helping management make the right decisions when it comes to natural resources and ecosystem services. Second, it will not be an ethical framework or a corporate code of conduct. The tools will expose value and will guide how to work with those values and ecosystems, but the entire do or do not do this or that discussion needs to take place somewhere else. And that's why we're joining with the Natural Capital Charter Initiative, because that's a great forum within the Green Economy Coalition to talk about what are the limits, what is the frame of what's going on natural capital valuation. Third, it will also not be a price list, because that's very difficult to do, if not impossible. An inventory, list or database of natural capital values, impacts and dependencies, and it will also not be a calculator. What will it be? The protocol will provide clear guidance on how business can assess their impacts and dependencies on natural capital and manage these better. It will take the user through the purpose and value add of carrying out such an assessment for the company. An inventory of impacts and dependencies to consider, not the inventory itself, as well as guidance on how and where to focus effort so that the exercise is fit for purpose. The protocol will also help business navigate the range of approaches that exist, providing recommended steps to take wherever possible, as well as guidance on data needs. Importantly, it will also include how the results of the protocol will be used and embedded in companies. The protocol will support companies in their decision-making and can be used for a range of applications, such as risk management, exploring new revenue streams, improving products, and value chain innovation. And even, as I said, preparing for future reporting and disclosure. And that's close to the heart of what companies are doing. Specific sectors have specific natural capital priorities, so we're also developing sector guides and starting with some of the most material and complex sectors, food and beverage and apparel. And as I said, we're in the early phase of this project. We started in October, last month. And as we move forward in the next few months, the contours of the protocol will become more and more clear, and we'll be able to share even more than I've just done. If you're interested, how could you get involved? If you're a business, we have set up this business engagement program. University of Cambridge Institute for Sustainable Leadership and Ernst & Young are running it. But many more actors, such as PricewaterhouseCoopers, and many more are ready to serve or help any company who wants to become engaged and find out more how this is going to work within their company. If you own methodologies or have thought up of great methodologies and you would like to share them with an independent body called the Methodology Review Panel, we've made that independent so that proprietary methodologies can be shared and nobody will run away with the knowledge that they've got and develop their own products. That independent body is looking forward to receiving them actually this month or next month at the latest, so that we can use all that knowledge that's out there in developing that protocol. We already have quite a few methodologies, of course, in the process ourselves. If you're another stakeholder, an NGO or anyone else, and you would like to be involved, you can. If you're a member of the Natural Capital Coalition, in spring of this year we will share the first draft with that membership. And membership is open, so if you want to be there in spring already, you can join the Natural Capital Coalition. If you don't want to join the Natural Capital Coalition, we will publish a further draft in the fall of 2015 for a global public consultation process. If you were taking notes, you can go to our website, it's all there. In the next few days we will publish this stuff so that you can tie in when you need. That's what I can say on the protocol. The protocol, we want to get it finished in March 2016, and I can tell you that's ambitious. Trust me, that's really ambitious, but we're going to try to go for that particular date. That's what I can say on the protocol. We need involvement from government. Natural systems are shared by many companies, by communities and by nature itself. Not one private actor can adequately interact with such a system without clear and transparent involvement from government and governance from government. Businesses who are leading the way on natural capital valuation plead actually to government. I was in Denmark last week where that happened. Plead to a government to set up the frameworks that help these leaders in this field become successful and take the risks in a non-level playing field that this ultimately entails to help safeguard our environment. We need the accounting profession. We have Richard, but we really do need accounting profession to think about what to do with the very weird type of capital that natural capital is. I was in the session right before this with Victor Anderson. He described 6 differences between regular capital, the one that we have focused on in the last millennia, and natural capital. And accounting needs to figure out how you can work with that. And accounting is up to that task, but they do really need to get moving. And we need forward movement on data. We need to understand much more of what's going on with ecosystems, how that interacts with us human beings, and how that interacts with companies, and what the different processes are. Because only at that local level will we truly be able to invest properly in ecosystems or understand our dependencies and our risks. And finally, we need fast and forward movement on that ethical discussion. We're going to be done in March 2016 if everything goes well. And I'm looking to Joe with the Natural Capital Charter, which I see as a very major instrument in framing what the business should be doing on the ethical side to get done. So looking forward to November of next year when we can see the final product. Business is now moving forward and doing so fast. I am hopeful it leads to a restorative economy and society that values nature and understands its interactions. I am hoping that the arrow does not hit our economy's ankles until we've learned how to measure, account and value natural capital. But we are in the unstable Anthropocene, which will act like the blind man with the arrow. We need to get our ankles covered, and natural capital valuation will help. Thanks.